Hey guys, this is a Peacekeeper task guide for Spa Tour Part 1. For this task, you have to eliminate 7 scavs on Shoreline by landing a headshot with a shotgun. Since it does specify that you need a headshot, then I do tend to bring in slugs to give myself a greater accuracy as well as give myself some range, especially since Shoreline does tend to be a longer distance map. Now you can definitely bring in a multi-pellet shell such as Magnum Buck or Flechette, but with the spread it can happen that the pellets will register mostly as thorax instead of giving you a headshot, causing the kills not to count towards your headshot kills. Now depending on your PMC and trader levels, it can also depend on what ammo that you do bring into raid with you when trying to do this task. The best slug is going to be AP20, which is obviously overkill and completely unnecessary for this task. Plus it is also found in raid only now, so you really don't want to be wasting this ammo just on scavs. However, it is beneficial if and when you do run into PMCs while trying to do this task, so that is definitely a consideration. And BSG has also made the makeshift 50 BMG slugs available at Jaeger level 3 only after completing the task silent caliber, so now you can only buy them on the flea market, but usually they are selling for way more than what they're worth. FTX slugs are also available at Jaeger level 2, so that can definitely be an option depending on when you unlock the Spa Tour Part 1 task. But honestly, what I used this wipe for the task was the Grizzly slugs, which is available at Jaeger level 1, and they are cheap, selling for only 70 rubles per slug. And honestly, they did end up working quite well to deal with the scavs. Obviously, it was a little bit problematic if I did run into PMCs since the pen is really bad. But if I did get into a fight, then I just tried to leg them since the slug does 190 damage, so it is very effective against flesh. And honestly, it worked pretty well depending on who saw who first and where the fight took place. Now, as mentioned earlier, you can use the multi-pellet shells like Magnum Buckshot, which unlocks at Jaeger level 2 or can be crafted at Workbench level 1, or Flechette, which is only available at Jaeger level 3 once you complete the forest cleaning task. And you can buy both of these shells from the flea market, but obviously for a grossly inflated price than the traders. Now, for the actual shotgun, you can use any of the 9 different 12-gauge shotguns in the game, and they will work for you towards this task. However, I would tend to stick to any of these semi-auto shotguns like the Super 90, the MP153, MP155, or the Sega 12. Not that the other options can't get it done, but it will definitely make it harder if you do get into a fight with a PMC when you have a pump action shotgun or double barrel versus something that you can just point and blast 5+ shells in quick succession if need be. And as for the build, you can use any attachments that you are comfortable with, so you can choose whether you want to go and suppress to stay off other PMC's radars as you move around the map, or you can just go the cheaper and loud version. And I do tend to at the very least use a hollow or even a scope with a little magnification if I am running slugs so that I can be more accurate from a little further away. And obviously you guys can decide if you want to mod the guns any further than that, but if you do, then the cheapest option of the guns I recommended tends to be the MP153, and also the Sega has the widest variance in price in that it can be very affordable, or it can be by far the most expensive, since you can extensively mod it, but it would definitely be overkill for this map and task to bring in a fully decked out Sega, so I would honestly just go with something that won't break the bank. And if you are good at maneuvering the map and avoiding PMCs, then a build that is very cheap is to go and buy a Sega and then add a PSO scope, and then with this 4x scope and your slugs for under 50k, then you will be good to go. And now I will show you guys a route on Shoreline that I do recommend taking for the purpose of hunting scavs, but just remember that with a shotgun you will have to get a little bit closer than normal, especially in order to be accurate enough to hit them in the head. So here's a map for Shoreline with a route that I do recommend taking if you are coming to this map strictly to farm scavs. I also do have the areas marked where the scavs tend to spawn, as well as the corresponding number of scavs that tend to be in the area. So 95% of the time when I run Shoreline, I tend to get one of the 14 spawns that's on the right side of the map, so that's the reason why I have the pathing going in the direction that I have it. However, if you do happen to get one of the spawns on the left side of the map, like up at Path the Lighthouse, or I know there's about 6 of them down here at the village, then what I tend to do is just reverse this upper pathing, and I just bypass these Terminator scavs here and just start at the sniper scavs, and then go down to campsite, bus station, so on and so forth, with the goal of extracting at the road to customs area, and then picking up a couple extra scavs right before you extract. So now to show you guys the actual pathing for this, however, keep in mind that depending upon where you spawn on the right hand side, then that can affect where you start to farm the scavs, because there are like 3 to 4 different spawns that are directly inside the road to customs area. So in order for you to start here, then you would have to wait around for the first 5 minutes of the raid in order for the scavs to actually spawn in, and nobody really wants to do that. So sometimes if I spawn up here, then I will work my way down to road to customs, or if I spawn down here, then I will work my way up and then start here. However, if I do end up starting in this actual vicinity, then usually I will just move down and go towards the blue fence area and then start here at the crane and then just continue on and then totally ignore over here. But for the purpose of this guide, then we'll act as though you spawn down here by the signpost, and then we will move our way up towards road to customs. Just bear in mind that this is a dangerous rotation because there are, like I said, about 14 different PMC spawns that are in around here, and then they could also be rotating around trying to get to the health resort or just trying to get to the weather station, etc. So after you kill the 2 scavs that are here at the road to customs area, then then usually I will move down following the road, because there is also a small chance that there are 2 scavs that spawn at the scout tower. Sometimes there is 1, however I've only had 1 raid so far this wipe where they do actually end up spawning there, so I didn't even put a circle on because it's kind of hit or miss. But if you are moving down, then you may as well check it just to be sure. After that, then we're going to move down towards the crane, which is probably going to be a big hotspot in terms of getting some scav action there. There's usually between 2 and 5. Some are on the middle of the road, some are inside of the actual crane area, and they can also be just slightly across the road into the wooded area, so just keep an eye out for that. So after you clear the blue fence and the crane area, then you do have a decision to make. You can either head up towards the weather station like how I have marked, or you can go over towards the pier overlook rock. And usually what I do is I will go to the weather station. However, it is also a possible spawn for the goons, and they are horrible to fight at this area. However, they do also count towards your scav kills. But I will usually listen and see if I hear any really crazy automatic gunfire going off. And then if I do, and if it sounds really sketchy and kind of like the goons, then usually I will avoid it and then bypass it and then just go on to the next area. But if you do happen to go up to the weather station, then there are usually 2 or 3 scavs that are up there, just kind of generally in and around the weather station building or out towards in the satellite areas. So after you clear the weather station, then you can head down towards the pier overlook rock, where you can see down into the gas station, where there's usually 1 to 3 different scavs there. There's also some scavs that can be down on the beach or on the road, and then you can also sometimes see scavs that are down in the pier, but oftentimes in order to kill the actual scavs here, you have to go down into the actual pier. Now usually I avoid the pier at all costs unless I have to go down there for an actual task. However, there is the possibility that Sanitar can spawn down there, and if you kill him or his guards, they do also count towards the task, and they're not too hard to fight down at the pier. But when you go down to the pier, then there's only really 2 different avenues to get out of the pier, but there's really only 1 way in and out of there. So sometimes you will get trapped, and plus people are still attempting to do capturing outposts, so people are trying to get pier kills. So after I clear the gas station and possibly the pier, then I will move up towards the power station area, and just be aware that there is usually 1 to 2 sniper scavs that are up on the rooftop, and you can actually double dip on this task if you have the Tarkov shooter part 6 available, because you have to kill sniper scavs with a bolt action rifle. And then once you get into the actual area, then there could be 1 to 3 more that are down in the actual walking space around and inside of the actual power station. So after we clear the power station, then we will cross over the water onto the left-west side of the health resort, and then we will head up towards the bus station. Once we get up to the bus station, there's usually 1 to 2 scavs that's there in that area. There's usually 1 on the right-hand side, or actually inside of the bus station, and then there's usually 1 on the left side in the parking lot area. And then once we clear the bus station, then we will keep towards the left and stay outside of the health resort, because we're not trying to PvP. We're instead trying to head up towards the campsite area, because that's where 2 scavs are. And if you stay outside of the health resort, then you will keep your survivability chance up much higher, because that is basically the main area where all of the PMCs and player scavs go. So once you get up to the campsite, there you will see a truck which will have a scav on both sides of it typically. Then we can just take out both of those scavs, and then after you kill those 2, then you can move up towards the sniper rock, and then this is where you can double dip on this task if you do also have the Tarkov shooter part 6, because there can be 1 to 2 different scavs up on top of the sniper rock. So if you do have that suppressed bolt action rifle, then this is where you can make use of getting the 1 to 2 scav kills here, and then just keep also racking up the suppressed kills for the Punisher part 2. And then also kill the 1 to 2 scavs that's down around the bunker. After that, then I will head down towards the Terminator scavs, which are down around the rock area that's just outside of the path to Lighthouse. And then after that, then I will move towards the extraction. So these scavs are probably the toughest ones to fight on all of Shoreline. I do call them the Terminator scavs, and I have been killed by them more times than I would like to admit. They are completely surrounded by tall grass, and they do tend to shoot before they voice line, so sometimes they will sneak attack you and basically shoot you through bushes or trees where you cannot see them. So that is usually the reason why I do jump up on this rock, and then that way I can clearly see them and then maybe get the advantage of seeing them first and being able to shoot down on them. And that has tended to work well for me. And now to show you guys the other option. So moving down towards the cottages area, you do have a chance the Sanitar can spawn here. However, this is probably the worst spot on the map to fight him. And if he's not there, then they have added back that there's usually 1 to 2 different scavs that do spawn in this area. Usually one is right around Sanitar's house, and then the other one is over on the right hand side at the other cottages. But I haven't actually run into too many scavs here, to be honest. After you clear that area, then you can move down towards the Scav Island, and then usually I just stay out towards the road on the grassed area and then shoot down. As long as I have a scope or something, then you can see the Scavs running around on the island. I try not to run across the barge because, like at pier, it is a one-way in, one-way out type of scenario. So if anybody sees you going across that barge, then they will hold you out and then just basically kill you when you are running back. So after you've cleared the Scav Island as best as what you can, then we will head towards the extract. However, BSG has added back the 1 to 2 Scavs that can be outside of the tunnel extract. Just be aware of that as you go in and around the cars, that these Scavs can be hiding on any side of the vehicles and in around the rubble that is on the road. So just be cautious of that as you are running towards the extract. You're not totally out of the woods yet until the timer is at 0. There's also the chance for 1 to 3 different Scavs to spawn up here at the village. However, they can be quite spread out, and I honestly never ever go to the village to loot or to try to kill scavs or anything, so I didn't even add it into the guide because I don't have any footage of killing any scavs there, honestly. But if you wanted to, I guess you could go campsite to the cottages, to the village, and then to the tunnel extract if you so choose. Honestly, whatever works the best for you guys, then that's what you should do. Don't just follow what I do in the guide just because that's what I said to do. You guys will find your own rhythm and then the best way for you to go about getting all these tasks done. I'm just giving you guys some of the advice that worked for me, and hopefully it will also help you guys to get it done. So hopefully this guide helped you to complete the task. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video, and have a fantastic rest of your day. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is just a couple of my different social links in case you guys wanted to connect more easily. I am primarily streaming on Twitch now multiple nights a week. So if you do want to connect with me or my community, that would probably be the easiest way to do so. And if you do come over to the Twitch and you want to join the Discord community, then just type !Discord or cord in the chat in order to get an invite link. And if you don't use Twitch, then I do have a link in the picture as well as a link below in the description. And we are growing and currently have an active and welcoming community with people of all experience and skill levels, so there will always be someone who could help to answer any questions that you may have. As always, thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching the video, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.